الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, we finished the book of Alam al-Sunnah al-Manshura last week in matters of Aqeedah. Today's fiqh, I always forget. Well, let's go to Aqeedah.
Okay.
Because I have it ready in front of me. I was thinking before Salah, which book should I read from Aqeedah? Just till 15 minutes because then I was hesitant. So it's okay. Inshallah, we'll do it. I'm still hesitant, so maybe it's better that I keep it till tomorrow. But I thought to read in something from Majmوع الفتاوى of Shaykh Taymiyyah rahimahullah when he talked about الوسيلة قاعدة في التوسل والوسيلة. He mentioned important principles in matters of التوسل والوسيلة. And many of us had heard this word before. So we'll talk about it inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us life for some time. Especially the first part, it's very important that it talks about that. Definitely something, matters of Aqeedah and how to follow the Prophet ﷺ in the right way. First of all, before we start, the word Alwaselah can come into more than one meaning, but the apparent meaning to it in the subject is a mean to reach something, to reach a goal, so you would take a mean to it. And it's meant by this is to take a mean to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That a person would do something, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gets him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something that every Muslim, he takes means to draw himself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us. The good deeds and to be away from sins and following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are some issues where people can take means that are not permissible or associate partners with Allah, as the disbelievers at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. They worship the idols or the images as a mean to get them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the creator and the provider and so on, but they worship these images of pious people as a wasila, as a mean for them to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, قَالُوا مَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ إِلَّا لِيُقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفًا. These believers, they said, we don't worship them except that they يُقَرِّبُونَ, they get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Zulfa as a mean of drawing them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is tawassul, which is permissible, which is a very good thing, and there is tawassul, which is not permissible. And there is some controversial issues with this also. We'll discuss that inshallah ta'ala towards the end. But the introduction, what he mentioned is basic principles and matters of our belief that we need to really ponder over and even sometimes memorize it and convey it to others. And sometimes in these things we can just sit and give the lecture without having to read from the book, but it's important to refer to the books of the people of knowledge so that you are more attached to the book, not to the speaker. Right? One of the problems, if it's correct to say that we have nowadays is that people are attached to speakers. Right? They get motivated by speakers, and when the speaker dies or when the speaker gets deviated, or it's valid for a human being to be deviated. As Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, من كان مستنا فليستنى بمن قد مات فإن الحي لا تؤمن عليه الفتنة. Whoever wants to follow, he should follow those who passed away, because those who are alive, fitna they can never be safe from fitna. Person can be steadfast and then he change. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us steadfastness. So when the hearts are attached to human beings, right? What if these human beings change? So people will change from the truth to the falsehood because the ones that they followed change from the truth to the falsehood. This is not how religion is. Religion is that you get to know the truth and you hold fast to the truth. And at times of fitan, you make sure that you know the truth very well, because fitan means people can change. So we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for steadfastness and get to know the principles to be steadfast. And that's one of the means, is to be attached, of course, to the book of Allah, to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the people of knowledge that we know for sure that their work and their ilm was based on the Quran and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and they continue to be this way. Nobody is sinless, nobody does not make mistakes, but of course it means that we need to follow the truth to the best of our ability. So this is why we always need to refer to the people of knowledge and the books. And the best book in matters of Aqeedah, without no doubt, is the book of Allah, the Quran. And the Quran should be studied this way. You can study it from matters of Aqeedah, matters of fiqh, akhlaq, everything. And this is what Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah, when he was asked, usually people ask, what is the best book in Aqeedah? Right? He did not give a list of books. He said the Quran. The Quran is the best book of Aqeedah, and we need to really take the Quran seriously like this. But as an introduction, before we get into the Quran from this, we get to study some of the books of the people of knowledge to give us introductions or principles to be able to study the Quran. So after the introduction, and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, something that many of the ulama would mention in their introduction after that, he said about the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, أرسله, أي the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بالهدى ودين الحق. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam بالهدى, with guidance and the truth, or the true religion. ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا, to make it superior over all ways and religions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for us as a witness that He subhanahu wa ta'ala praised the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and chose his way to be the way till the day of judgment for people to follow. And then he said, أرسله بين يدي الساعة بشيرا ونذيرا. You probably heard this sometimes in the introduction of khutbahs and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him very close to the hour, to the day of judgment, with two things which is the job of the messengers, بشيرا ونذيرا, giving glad tidings and warning. Giving the glad tidings for the believers and for those who obey him, and warning those who turn away from his way and so on. وَدَاعِيًا إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَسِرَاجًا مُنِيرًا, and calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and light for people to be able to see what's ahead of them, what's in front of them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called his wahy light in more than one verse in the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ, or the risala, or the message of the Prophet ﷺ, is like the sun to the human beings in matters of the truth. And as he said, rahimahullah, Shaykh Taymiyyah rahimahullah, you mentioned this example before, that as the human being physically, they need the external light, the sun, or this light for them to be able to see, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His wisdom, He did not create for us in our eyes self-emitting light that you can see in front of you. Allah is capable of all things. He could have created us in such a way that when it's nighttime, your eyes, like the cartoon characters, where the eyes gets light and you can see in front of you, right? But this is not the case. We are weak. We are in need of external help. So the people of wisdom and iman and knowledge, they ponder over this. There's a reason for it. One of which, of course, to be humble and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but one of which is also in matters of knowing what is right and what is wrong in the Quran. Falsehood has been mentioned as darknesses, right? So this life that we live in is totally dark, extremely dark. You can't see your finger if you put your finger in front of your eyes. Not physically, but the matter of the truth and falsehood spiritually, if it's correct to say that, religious-wise. So it's totally dark, unless Shams al-Risal, the sun of the message, comes and the person will be able to see what is right and what is wrong. So we are in need of this external help, which is in this case the messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him for people to be able to see. So without the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people will be in total darkness or some darkness and some light, depending on how much they follow the Prophet ﷺ. فَهَذَا بِهِ مِنَ الضَّلَالِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide people by the Prophet ﷺ from deviation. وَبَصَّرَ بِهِ مِنَ الْعَمَى. And make people see after being blind. This is how the truth makes a person, makes him as if he was blind before and now he can see. وَأَرْشَدَ بِهِ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. And guided after means of deviation and so on. وَفَتَحَ بِهِ أَعْيُنًا عُمْيًا وَأَذَانًا صُمًّا وَقُلُوبًا غُلْفًا. And opened eyes that were blind and ears that were blocked, could not hear, and hearts that were also not anything of the truth would go in it. So the Prophet ﷺ فَبَلَّغَ الرِّسَالَةَ. He conveyed the message in the perfect way عليه الصلاة والسلام. وَأَدَّى الْأَمَانَةَ. Fulfilled the trust. Nothing is missing whatsoever. وَنَصَحَ الْأُمَّةَ. Which means he had the concern towards the ummah. So nothing whatsoever that would get this ummah and every individual in it closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unless the Prophet ﷺ had ordered us, showed us, it's in the deen of Islam, save it for us. And whoever seek guidance from another way other than the way the Prophet ﷺ, he with his actions, doesn't have to be said with one's tongue, but with one's actions, as if he's saying that the Prophet ﷺ did not fulfill his duty, did not convey the whole message. We need something else. And this is definitely huge deviation that can lead the person to matters of disbelief. So وَجَاهَدَ فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ. And he fought and struggled for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَبَدَ رَبَّهُ حَتَّى أَتَاهُ الْيَقِينُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ. And he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till death came to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ تَسْلِيمًا. And that's why it's big difference when you say Salah on the Prophet ﷺ, when you say it with this attitude, then a person is just saying some words. So also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says فَفَرَّقَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ. The Prophet ﷺ came as a criteria, separating the truth from falsehood. He did not come and united humanity. No, he came and he disunited the people in their own families and the people of Quraysh and so on. In what sense? Uniting them on the truth and separating between the truth and falsehood. Because unity is not a goal in itself. What is the goal is to be on the truth. And that's why a Muslim would learn from this, that we need to forget about the issue of uniting. No, we should be concerned about the truth. To be united, yes, but on the truth. So the main concern is to be strong on the truth and to call people to the truth in a gentle way, in a nice way, so that everybody will be on the truth, not united on falsehood, because that would never bring any goodness. It might be in the beginning or for some time, but then it leads to extreme fitan and tribulations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Prophet ﷺ in the way that separating truth from falsehood, and guidance and deviation. وَطَرِيقِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ وَطَرِيقِ أَهْلِ النَّارِ. The path of the people of Jannah and the path of the people of the hellfire. All of that is very clear. And وَبَيْنَ أَوْلِيَائِهِ وَأَعْدَائِهِ. And who are those who are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of that, how will we know this and the differences? From the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَالْحَلَالِ مَا أَحَلَّهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. The halal is what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam stating that it's halal. وَالْحَرَامَ مَا حَرَّمَهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. And the haram is what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated that is haram. وَالدِّينَ مَا شَرَعَهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. And the deen is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislate and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Very precise, nothing else. Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to الثقلين, the jinn and the human beings. فَعَلَى كُلِّ أَحَدٍ أَنْ يُؤْمِنَ بِمَا بِهِ وَبِمَا جَاءَ بِهِ وَيَتَّبِعُهُ فِي بَاطِنِهِ وَظَاهِرِهِ. Then it's mandatory for everyone to believe in him and what he brought, and to يَتَّبِعُهُ, which means and to follow him, فِي بَاطِنِهِ وَظَاهِرِهِ, inwardly and outwardly, in matters of belief and deeds in the heart, and outwardly speech of the tongue and actions and so on. وَالْإِيمَانُ بِهِ وَمُتَابَعَتُهُ هُوَ سَبِيلُ اللَّهِ وَهُوَ دِينُ اللَّهِ. To believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to believe in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to follow him, this is to follow the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to believe in him. This is the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the worship of Allah and His obedience. And this is the path of the righteous people, the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ الْوَسِيلَة الَّتِي أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهَا عِبَادَهُ في قوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه الوسيلة. And this is the wasila. This is the mean to reach the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه الوسيلة. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be dutiful to Him, and ابتغوا, which means seek to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-wasila, which is the mean to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is it? He says, فَابْتِغَاءُ الْوَسِيلَةِ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّمَا يَكُونُ لمن توسل إلى الله بالإيمان بمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واتباعه. So to seek the wasila is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by tawassul, by seeking the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the belief in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and following him alayhi salatu wasalam. So when we say at-tawassul, this is the first meaning that should come into our mind. We should not refer the meaning to what people are talking about and the dua and this. No. The first thing that should come into our mind is التوسل. وهذا التوسل بالإيمان به وطاعته فرض على كل أحد في كل حال. The tawassul, to believe in the Prophet ﷺ and to obey him, which is fard, mandatory thing for everyone on any situation. باطنا وظاهرا, inwardly, outwardly, في حياة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد موته. During his life and after his death, it's not cancelled or abrogated. After he died عليه الصلاة والسلام, it's still the same. في مشهده ومغيبه, whether he is witnessing and present or whether he is not present. The same should be the attitude of the Muslim, as the Sahaba رضي الله عنهم did. لا يسقط التوسل بالإيمان به وبطاعته عن أحد من الخلق في حال من الأحوال بعد قيام الحجة عليه. It does not cancel or get abrogated, which is this tawassul, by the belief in the Prophet ﷺ and following him on any of the creation of Allah. Nobody would reach a level where he doesn't have to follow the Prophet ﷺ. This is, of course, major deviation. Or any excuse. ولا طريق إلى كرامة الله ورحمته والنجاة من هوانه وعذابه إلا التوسل بالإيمان به وطاعته. And there is no path to the honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be saved from the humiliation and the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except by the tawassul, seeking the closeness by the belief in the Prophet ﷺ and obeying. This is the only way. وهو صلى الله عليه وسلم شفيع الخلائق صاحب المقام المحمود الذي يغبطه به الأولون والآخرون فهو أعظم الشفعاء قدرا وأعلاهم جاها عند الله. And the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is شفيع الخلائق, the one that would give the shafa'a, the intercession to the creation of Allah, to all humanity, for the hisab to start, for the accountability and to be judged in the day of judgment to start, and for the believers, as will come the details of this and we discussed it before also. So he is the one alayhi salatu wasalam in the day of judgment that will be given this high level, the high status, which all the creation of Allah, those in the beginning and at the end, they will be يغبطون, they would wish they will have such a status in the day of judgment, in which he will be chosen والسلام, over all the creation of Allah to intercede to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the creation of Allah would go from one messenger to the other, and only the Prophet ﷺ would be given the permission to do that. He is the best of all the intercessors, because the messengers, they intercede for the people, and the righteous ones, they intercede for the ones that they know in the day of judgment, but he's the best of all of them, and he is the highest in level when it comes to the level to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Musa alayhi salam, وَكَانَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَجِيهًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Musa alayhi salam that he was to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wajihan, meaning when a person is honored and he is respected and he is given all means of goodness and honor, this is what wajihan means. He was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and honored and so on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Isa alayhi salam, wajihan fi dunya wal akhirah. The same word was used for Isa alayhi salam, that he is wajihan, right? That means he is of status and honor and chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life and in the hereafter. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, أعظم جاها من جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين لكن شفاعته ودعاؤه إنما ينتفع بهما من شفع له الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ودعا له فمن دعا له الرسول وشفع له توسل إلى الله بشفاعته ودعائه. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is better than all of these messengers and all the prophets of Allah, and his shafa'a and his dua is those who will benefit from it is those who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will intercede for him, and those who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. So whoever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam make dua for him or intercede for him, and he seeks the closeness and the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the shafa'a, the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ and his dua, and the supplication of the Prophet ﷺ, as the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they used to seek the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the dua of the Prophet ﷺ and his intercession, and as people would seek the closeness in the Day of Judgment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his dua and his shafa'a, his intercession, alayhi salatu wasalam, they would go to him and they would ask him to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. Now the word التوسل في عرف الصحابة, see, after he mentioned this, and this is basically our way of following the deen. After mentioning that, then we need to know how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum understood these words, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose them to be the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we need to follow them as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us in the Quran. In their urf, in what they knew, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum كانوا يستعملونه في هذا المعنى. They used to use this word in that meaning, following, obeying the Prophet ﷺ, believing in him, following him, and they would go ask the Prophet ﷺ to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them, ask him to intercede for them, and which is said التوسل بدعائي وشفاعتي ينفع مع الإيمان به. To seek the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the dua and the shafa'a of the Prophet ﷺ, it benefits for those who believe in him, and as for those who do not believe in him, like the kuffar and the hypocrites, it does not benefit them whatsoever, the shafa'a or the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ or anyone in the Day of Judgment. That's why the Prophet ﷺ was forbidden from making istighfar, asking for forgiveness for his uncle and his father, and else from the disbelievers. And he was forbidden to make istighfar and asking for forgiveness to the munafiqeen, to the hypocrites. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَسْتَغْفَرْتَ لَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تَسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ لَنْ يَغْفِرُ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ. That whether you, O Messenger of Allah, with all this, with the level of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that nobody reached whatsoever, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whether you ask forgiveness for them, whether you don't ask forgiveness for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never forgive them. Meaning the disbelievers, and he is the most merciful subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ was forbidden from this. And again, which shows that how valuable it is to be forgiven, and how valuable it is to be among those who they can be forgiven, right? So the iman, matters of iman and belief, is the most valuable and precious thing whatsoever for a person to be in such a way that the disbelievers are deprived from this. Also, as he says, with ولكن الكفار يتفاضلون في الكفر كما يتفاضل أهل الإيمان في الإيمان. The disbelievers, some that are in levels with matters of kufr, as the people of iman that are in levels with regards to their iman. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إنما النسيء زيادة في الكفر. Right? And nasi, which is they used to the Arab before the Prophet, and actually they continued after the Prophet ﷺ was sent to them, they would not fight in the Ashur al-Hurum. And this was still from the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And the Ashur al-Hurum is Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Muharram, and Rajab. These 4 months. But whenever they need to fight, right, their enemies is there and everything, so they would have a trick there. So they would replace Rajab with Safar, right? So the fight is in Safar, which is this month, right? They would make, replace it, or they want to fight in Rajab, right? So they switch the months, right? As they are the ones that are making the decision which months of the sacred months to be. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah that this is ziyadatun fil kufr. This is increase in disbelief. as an evidence that disbelief is not just one level. There are levels worse than other levels of disbelief. So if this was in the kuffar, فإذا كان, if it was then increasing in their kufr, he's saying فإنه تنفع شفاعته في تخفيف العذاب عنه. So that means the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ can benefit the kuffar in decreasing the level of kufr, but still kufr. Right? Not to change the person from kufr to al-iman, right? But to keep him still in the level of kufr if he died in that state, but to decrease the level of kufr for him. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ intercession to his uncle, عن العباس بن عبد المطلب أنه قال, the nephew of the Prophet ﷺ, Al-Abbas, he said about his father Abd al-Muttalib, قلت يا رسول الله فهل نفعت أبا طالب بشيء? Al-Abbas, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, did you benefit your uncle by anything? Because Abu Talib used to be defending the Prophet ﷺ and so on, and he knew the truth, but the last words of his was that he is on Millat Abd al-Muttalib, which is on the religion of his forefathers. So Al-Abbas, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, he told him, did you benefit Abu Talib b'shay? And Al-Abbas, how is he related to Abu Talib? His brother, right? So he said, did you benefit him by anything? Because he was defending you and so on. فإنه كان يحوطك ويغضب لك. He used to encompass you and protect you and get angry for you when the disbelievers would try to hurt the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, نعم هو في ضحضاح من نار ولولا أنا لكان في الدرك الأسفل من النار. Which means, yes, I benefited him. He is, ضحضاح is when the water is shallow. That's the correct word, where it's very not deep. And if it wasn't for me, he would have been in the lowest level in hellfire. So he is one of the ones that has the least punishment in hellfire. So the point here that the shafa'ah of the Prophet ﷺ did not take him outside of the hellfire, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never forgive someone that dies in the state of disbelief. But the shafa'ah benefited in which the level of kufr, as we said, there are levels. So it benefited him in leveling or decreasing the level of his disbelief to be the least to be punished. And hellfire is the hellfire. Everybody in hellfire thinks that he is the worst person being punished there. And then he says in another narration that he said, نعم وجدت في غمرات من نار فأخرجته إلى ضحضاح. Which means I found him in the midst of the hellfire and I took him out into the part that is shallow. And that's what the other hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that the least person punished in the hellfire is someone that would have 2 hot coals underneath his foot, that his brain will boil from this. This is the least person in the hellfire. And which is mentioned in the narrations like Muslim, as the Prophet ﷺ said, لعله تنفع شفاعتي يوم القيامة فيجعل في ضحضاح من النار يبلغ كعبيه يغلي منهما دماغه. That he says that my shafa'ah would benefit him in the day of judgment, that he will be in a place in the hellfire where the hellfire would reach his ankle and his brain as a result of that will boil. And also another narration, إن أهون أهل النار عذابا أبو طالب وهو منتعل بنعلين من نار يغلي منهما دماغه. The Prophet ﷺ said that the least person of the hellfire punishment is Abu Talib, and he's wearing 2 shoes from the hellfire that his head is boiling as a result of that. So this is even benefit of the shafa'ah to lessen the punishment on his uncle. وكذلك ينفع دعاؤه لهم بأن لا يعجل عليهم العذاب أو لا يعجل عليهم العذاب في الدنيا. That also one of the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, that the punishment of Allah would not be on them immediately in this life as it was for the nations before. And the Prophet ﷺ, this is the last point because of the time, inshallah ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, when he narrated from some of the prophets from before, when his people would beat him up, and he would say, Allahumma aghfir liqawmi فإنهم لا يعلمون, oh Allah, forgive my people because they do not know. It was narrated that he said that عليه الصلاة والسلام, أن اغفر لهم فلا تعجل عليهم العذاب في الدنيا, that forgive them so that you don't be in haste in punishing them in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَوْ يُؤَاخِذُ اللَّهُ النَّاسَ بِمَا كَسَبُوا مَا تَرَكَ عَلَى ظَهْرِهَا مِنْ دَابَّةٍ وَلَكِنْ يُؤَخِّرُهُم إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُّسَمًّى. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would hold people accountable with their actions immediately after they commit their sins, as a result of what they earned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not leave any walking creature on the face of earth. Why? Because everybody's committing sins. وَلَكِنْ يُؤَخِّرُهُم, but He give them the time and delay them till a prescribed, a fixed time, which is in the Day of Judgment. So, and this doesn't mean that people won't be punished, but they are being delayed for them to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that the hujjah will be established. And that's why we have to witness this great ni'mah, that this ni'mah of al-ta'khir or al-imhal, when a person has been given time. We are given time at this moment, we are given time. We have been delayed, right? Which is one of the best bounties that a person can have, is to still have time. To do what? To enjoy and to eat and to live with his family and children? No. It's to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before it's too late. If a person with, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed many favors on us, and if you are in the midst of your joy and your family and your children and your wealth, when you think of death, you feel, you're going to miss these people, right? This is a normal thing for human beings. But if you're at the moment of death and your repentance has been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't want to even see them. You want to see them in the hereafter, but you don't want to go back to them whatsoever. If you are at this moment when the angels would come and give the person the glad tidings that his sins has been forgiven and he's going to be among the people of Jannah, right? He would never want to go back, and if that person would be given all kinds of offers, which is of course never would happen anyway, but just imagine that to go back to this dunya again, right, after given this bad tidings, to enjoy your family and your wealth, he would never want to come back, never. Except the shaheed, as the Prophet ﷺ said, only the shaheed. The martyr would wish to come back to this world. Why? So that he would fight and die, as a result of the great honor that he receives when he is killed for the sake of Allah. So he won't even want to come back again to enjoy this life, no, he wants to come back to face what he faced. So that means what? That means the only worry should be in the hearts of the believers is what? Is to be forgiven. And to die in the state of Islam and to be forgiven. And yes, nothing wrong with enjoying the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but never worry about this issue of missing and can happen and this and that. Everything is written, but the most important thing is to be saved from the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So this shows the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is also al-Halim, the forbearance, that He gives people time, and never forget about this great ni'mah, that Allah knows best when we will be deprived from it. And everybody will be deprived from it, which is that life is over, and a person has to be held accountable and in hostage with his deeds, not for 10 or 20 or 50 years, forever. The deeds that are done in these years, short period of time that we live in this life. And then the last sentence in this point, he says, وَأَيْضًا فَكَانَ يَدْعُ لِبَعْضِ الْكُفَّارِ بِأَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ اللَّهُ أو يرزقه فيهديه أو يرزقه كما دعا لأم أبي هريرة حتى هداها الله وكما دعا لدوس فقال اللهم اهد دوسا وأت بهم فهداهم الله. Also the Prophet ﷺ used to make dua to some of the kuffar, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would guide them or would provide for them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would guide them and provide for them. As he made dua alayhi salatu wasalam for the mother of Abi Hurairah radiallahu anha, when she even said a bad word about the Prophet ﷺ, and Abu Hurairah came to the Prophet ﷺ and he was crying that his mother said such a word about the Prophet ﷺ. She was a disbeliever, and he asked the Prophet ﷺ to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for her. The Prophet ﷺ made the dua. Abu Hurairah was so pleased, because he knew the dua of the Prophet ﷺ is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He went rushing back home to his mother. He did not enter the house. She told him wait, because she was taking the shower, the ghusl, as a result of being a Muslim, when she said the Shahada and she was taking the shower of that. The immediate response to the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, and also when the Prophet ﷺ made dua to the tribe of Daws, Allahumma hdi Dawsan wa'ti bihim, and bring them, right? And this was also accepted from the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them. And you know, he would mention some of these incidences where the Prophet ﷺ, also when some of the disbelievers, let me just mention this real quick, that some of the believers, when they asked for the Prophet ﷺ to ask for rain for them, right? And although this hadith, the hadith is in Bukhari, and he says, وَكَانَ ذَلِكَ إِحْسَانًا مِنْهُ إِلَيْهِ يَتَأَلَّفُ بِهِ قُلُوبَهُم كَمَا كَانَ يَتَأَلَّفُ بِغَيْرِ ذَلِكَ. He made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they get rain. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, which shows that it's okay for a person to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course for guidance for the disbelievers, and also for matters of provisions, to be provided in this life, right? This is with the provision. What's the benefit if there's no guidance, right? But if it's an incident here or there, there's nothing wrong. It's not haram for a person to ask for such a thing, but the main thing is the guidance for them to receive the everlasting happiness and success. We didn't discuss the matter yet, but these are principles and foundations, and then inshallah we continue later inshallah.